welcome to the Exclusive Networks 40 Friday. Today we're going to give you an overview of the wireless environment, and then my colleague Zach is going to give you an overview and a demo of FortiCloud. There are a number of wireless offerings that Fortinet have in their portfolio. There's the integrated wireless, which is the wireless APs that are connected to a FortiGate, and they're controlled by the built-in wireless control on the FortiGate unit. There's also FortiCloud, so basically it's APs that connect and are managed by the cloud infrastructure. And finally, there's the infrastructure wireless. This came about by the purchase of Maroon Networks, which are now fully integrated into the Fortinet family. Just as a point to add there, the infrastructure environment is completely separate to the integrated wireless. It's an offering in its own right, so it's basically APs and wireless controllers for large deployments on campus networks, etc. So Gartner predicted by 2020 there'll be 33 billion endpoints connected via wireless, and this is due to the onset of connected cars, wearable tech, smart TVs, and obviously tablets and smartphones that 99% of us already have. There's also, because of this growth in wireless connected devices, everybody wants more speed. So at the moment there's still a large migration towards the 802.11c technology that will give gigabit connectivity. Today, in the wireless network and wired network market, we look at things as borderless networks. So basically, there's nothing limiting what we can actually do. So whether it be a wireless smartphone or tablet or wired desktops and workstation, the user experience is consistent across the board. So whether that comes down to UTM profiles, security policies, application security, and so on and so forth. Due to the borderless technology, the attack surface has increased dramatically. So we're looking at things like network, applications, data, and people. You can be anywhere. You could be in your home office and you're connected directly to your corporate network. So we need to make sure that our wireless devices are protected because they are outside the network, but they're coming into our corporate environment. The wireless offerings that Fortinet offer, they support all types of enterprises from small to large. So for example, if you have a small network, you might want to use the small branch office type. So in that situation, you probably go for a FortiCloud option. Basically, you buy the AP, you connect it up to the FortiCloud, you configure the AP, which Zach will show you in his demo, and then you're good to go. Then we've got the large branch office. So in this situation, you would use the wireless LAN controller that's embedded into the FortiGate firewall appliance, and to that you can add a multitude of wireless APs that Fortinet offer. You can have multiple SSIDs for different types of users and so on and so forth. And then the Maroon offering that is now Fortinet infrastructure offering, this is for large campus networks. So it would be something like a school or college campus, university, it may be a hospital, and so on and so forth. And as I've just mentioned, it supports all types of enterprises in all verticals. So for example, as I mentioned, we've got the infrastructure, which would be campus and enterprise, primary school, secondary school, higher education, healthcare, so on and so forth. And then the integrated for sort of small, medium-sized business, and then we've got the cloud offering that's available to, for anything up from one AP to many APs across different sites and managed by a central location in the FortiCloud. I'll now pass you over to Zach, who will continue the presentation. He's going to dive deeper into the FortiCloud offering.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, so I'm going to talk around the FortiCloud, mainly around the FortiAP, the AP network and FortiCloud itself. As FortiCloud evolved, it originally started off with retaining logs for the FortiGate. So for free, you could upload a gig of data to the FortiCloud. You could buy expandable storage, sort of like 200 gig. As it's moved on, it moved on to Sandbox, and now they're using it as a management platform. So you've got FortiGate in beta at the moment, where you can manage a gate, and you've got the AP option, FortiAP. FortiAP doesn't require a controller; it's controllerless. So there's activation code on the AP that communicates back to the FortiCloud, and then you can manage the AP from there. Typically, FortiCloud is aimed at sort of small retails, branch offices. As they've evolved, the technology's involved in the AP, and I tend to see it sit mainly around primary schools, medium. It really does depend on the customer's requirements, to be honest. So with FortiCloud comes the FortiAP-S. The FortiAP-S is the only FortiAP that can provide UTM at the edge. So as the wireless traffic hits the AP, it's translated into an Ethernet packet. Before it turns into an Ethernet packet, UTM is applied. So from the AP, you get IPS, AV, botnet, URL filtering, and application control. Yeah, it uses Fortinet's FortiGuard service. There's no third parties. It's the only AP that, well, I'm aware of, or everyone's aware of, that does UTM at the AP. Everyone else seems to have like a application control. I've definitely seen that in other vendors where they've got their own signatures. URL filtering I tend to see with third party, but it's the only AP which provides APS, AV, and botnet at the edge. Every AP applies URL filtering. It doesn't communicate back to a central location, so it doesn't matter how it exits. When it exits the AP, UTM is applied. How does it work? So when you've got your FortiAP, you plug it in to your network. It gets a DHCP address. If you take the code, which I'll cover off in a minute, if you take the code off the top of the AP, you apply that to FortiCloud. Once the AP communicates back to FortiCloud, it connects to your FortiCloud environment on initially 443. Once the CAT-WAP connection's up, then you can start pushing down a configuration to the AP. To be fair, the AP communicates out only. It doesn't. The FortiCloud doesn't communicate in. As you can see, it uses UDP 5246. So say you've got a configuration on your AP. Once the client connects, they're allowed to get to the internet, depending on obviously what you've applied to that SSID. And as I said before, the UTM is applied at the edge of the AP, web filtering, application control, AV, IPS, botnet. So there's a couple of APs. I haven't put down like the specs of the APs. I've gone through the technology because this year they're looking to release around about 30 access points. So rather than me bombarding you with statistics of what the APs can do, each section tends to so you've got FortiAP-S, you've got FortiAP-C and U, and each technology has its own benefits. So FortiAP-S's benefit is its full UTM. So as I keep saying it, when the traffic exits the AP, UTM is applied. The APs can go up to AC, wave 1. Last time I spoke to Fortinet about this particular AP, it was a pretty beefy AP. It's got sort of like a quad-core processor in it, and they've seen customers actually deploying this AP with the integrated because of the speed that the AP can give the client on the network compared to their other offerings. Fortinet have also released FortiAP-C. This is the not so powerful AP. I don't know the pricing, to be honest, but it's designed for 10 to 15 users. It's designed to go in hotel rooms and DOMs where you need the wireless coverage, but you haven't got a heavy user base. You've got maybe like I say hotel rooms where you've got 4 or 5 people on the AP, but you actually want wireless coverage through the building, so quite nice for that. There's only 2 APs for the FortiAP-C. It's internal and external antenna 2x2 MIMO. It is entry level, but it is still classed as enterprise access point. FortiCloud also integrates with FortiAPs, the integrated APs. There's no UTM, but it's good enterprise offering. So like I say, the FortiAPC is very low entry. FortiAPS is if you want UTM at the edge. But if the customer's already got, say, a UTM device at the exit point and they don't want to apply UTM, you could look at FortiAP as an option as well. The only caveat is that it needs to be running FortiOS 5.2 at minimum, and some, if they don't have the FortiCloud key, then you will need to configure them from the CLI as well. And then there's the FAPU, as they call it, which is the universal AP. This access point will work on cloud integrated infrastructure. It's their first Wave 2 offering, AC Wave 2 offering. It's estimated to be out around Q4, maybe Q3 if we're lucky. However, the AP will not support UTM. So those are the four main classes of the access points that work with FortiCloud. And to be fair, the FortiAPS as well does work with the integrated. Yeah, that's my brief on the technology. I'll continue with the demo now. So the slides is only just a warm up to come into the demonstration. So how do you connect an AP in a deployment? So as you can see from the screenshot, you've got the FortiCloud key that you take, you then put on the website, on the FortiCloud inventory list. There's three ways of doing this. So you've got the inventory list where you add each AP individually. So say customers purchased maybe 10 access points or something like that. And you can enter it manually. If they've bought a couple of hundred, say 200 or something like that, you can use something called FortiDeploy. FortiDeploy is around about 100, 150 dollars, I can't remember exactly. And when you purchase the access points, Fortinet will add all of those access points to your FortiCloud account for you before shipping. I have read somewhere though, if you buy it afterwards, it's a manual process, but that they will also add the APs for you as well. So yeah, so plug the AP in, get to the HTTP address, is allowed to get to the internet, connects to FortiCloud. You'll see the device come up on the FortiCloud GUI. So before I go on with the demo, is there any questions? No, is everyone muted, or is there? Yeah. If you've got any questions, just throw them in the chat window and I'll pick them up from there. Cool. So bear with me 2 seconds, please. So this is the FortiCloud AP network interface. The first screen that we're presented on is the monitoring tab, so just gives you general statistics about what's going on in your network at the moment. As you can see in our demo lab, we have only got one AP connected, and as it's Friday, I don't think many people are actually connected to it. There's 2 clients at the moment, so you can see their MAC address. If they had a username, you see their username and client information as well. Okay, so third option for deploying access points, you've got the add the code in the inventory, you've got Fortinet applying the bulk, but you can also do deploy AP as well. So there's a nice little widget where you can put the FortiCloud key in, you can set up the profile, so the radio profile, which I'll cover off in a minute. You can apply an AP tag. An AP tag is if you've got a branch environment and you don't want certain SSIDs advertised in certain locations, you can tag the access point and you can tag the SSID, so only those SSIDs are advertised. So I don't know, let's take for example, you've got a corporate-wide SSID that's configured, and then in half the environments you don't want to provide guest. You can create 2 different tags, and you can have the same SSID, the same radius, the same settings configured for the corporate SSID, and then for the guest you can just advertise it on half the sites, for example. So platform profile. So we've got a FAP-S in the lab. It's a 321C, so it's dual radio. This is the configuration. So I can disable it. You can make it an access point. You can choose the channels, the power level, whether you want it to be dedicated rogue, to do rogue detection. So we've got a radio 1 and a radio 2 on this. We've got 2.4 and 5. You can choose the band, so you can have it just working in A, AC, N, depending on the environment. And then you've got channel selection as well, so you can select wave 1, and then actually wave 1's at 80 megahertz to be fair, but just left mine in 40. And then the AP tags, as I said before, you just create a tag and then you just apply it to the different settings on the device. Okay, so radio server. So if you've got mobile radio servers, you can have like a list and apply it to different SSIDs and so forth. So if I start on the access point before we go through the SSID configuration. So once your AP connects to FortiCloud, it will then be displayed in the AP section. So you have your list here. You can see that I've tagged this with the EXN Lab. As I said before, you can create multiple tags for different locations. You've also got the list of SSIDs that are configured on that AP, and you can choose to reboot, upgrade, disconnect, delete, or modify. And the settings are really quite simple on the AP network. It's quite an easy interface to work your way around. So this is the platform I selected earlier, and this is my AP tag. This is the AP tag that applies it to the SSID. You can choose whether a Telnet login or HTTP login is allowed on the AP. So if you need to access it remotely, as far as I'm aware, all of the FortiAPS and nowadays I think the FortiAP offering all come with a console cable as well. So they've all got a CLI interface. They're not dummy APs. They're very clever actually. They're all smart APs. None of them are like thin clients. It only becomes a thin client once you plug it into, say, like a FortiGate, and it's part of the integrated, because at the end of the day, you're just throwing all the traffic down the tunnel to the FortiGate. So FortiGate have done quite a nice job with their AP selection. As I said, they are releasing approximately 30 APs this year, and it has been mainly due to the acquisition of Maru and FortiCloud, to be honest. But they had their 40 APs, but they've broken off 3 other technologies now to evolve with this. So yeah, they're getting pretty pokey, these devices. If you click on the device, you get a breakdown of what's going on, so you can see what IPS signatures, what AV signatures are on the device, what IP address it's got, the external IP address, MAC address, traffic going through, and SSIDs are applied. This is quite nice for troubleshooting. And yeah, that's pretty much the AP in a nutshell. The configuration, so the configuration of SSID, at the moment I've got EN demo applied to the access point, and you can see here it's got EXN Lab tag, as I said before. Tag ties it in. If we create a new SSID, I'll show you what the SSID offerings are on the FortiGate as well. So if I just give this a name, for example, you can enable it, disable it, you can broadcast it, hide it. There's three different types of authentication. You've got open. Along with open, you get obviously no captive portal. You've got the FortiCloud captive portal. FortiCloud captive portal is actually hosted within FortiCloud. So even though, so the APs themselves, they don't need communication. Once they've got a configuration from FortiCloud, they don't need a continuous connection to function. So I don't know, take it for example, I had a chat with a customer from university, and they wanted an AP that they could take around different classrooms. They just want to plug it into the wall and be able to get a network, but they didn't want to have to advertise it around the whole university. So the FortiAP come into play there, because we were able to push a configuration down to it, and then they just put it on there in like their case, which they go take to when they've got problems in the classrooms, and then just plug it into a wall socket. It was tied into a VLAN. It worked quite well for them. The only caveat behind the AP not connecting to FortiCloud is things like when you use the FortiCloud captive portal. For the FortiCloud captive portal to work, it will need an internet connection. So the redirect can be to the original URL or a specific URL. You can do a walled garden. So just for example, you can allow the user to get to the customer's home page. They can browse around the home page. As soon as they click external content, then they're captive ported to grab information. It's quite, retail is a good example of that. Like if you're going around a shop and they're going online, it's just take Topshop, for example. If you're in Topshop and they're going through their phone, it will allow them. And the same with apps as well. So a bit more specific, because you probably need a few more IP addresses, but you can do wildcards as well. So you can allow apps through. With the FortiCloud captive portal, you've got 4 different sign-in methods actually. You've got click-through, so they just click through and allow it to go through on the captive portal. You can tie it into a radius server. The radius server can be hosted on the customer's network. You've got FortiCloud user and user group. So the FortiCloud, as well as the captive portal, can hold guest accounts. So everything's done on FortiCloud rather than having to have some sort of NAC on site to control the users. So this is my guest group here. And social media login. So let's take Facebook, for example. They could log into Facebook, and then they're allowed to get on the wireless. The FortiCloud and the FortiAPs do not retain any information relevant to social media. So the click-through is a complete click-through for social media. No information is stored. And then you've got My Captive Portal. So if you do use a NAC or something like that, you can put a Captive Portal URL in. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. So if you're only good with HTML, for example, these are the variables that you need to use on the Captive Portal to display the right context and when the user clicks through to log their username onto FortiCloud, for example. It's quite nice. You've got the post information and stuff like that. Once again, original URL, specific URL, walled garden, click-through, and so forth. The PSK personal, so you've just got your normal password as well. You can apply a Captive Portal to this as well. So some places which have a guest wireless, they like users to put a password in, because then effectively the traffic's encrypted, because if it's an open network, then someone could be outside sniffing the traffic. So some people do like to do a Captive Portal with the PSK. And you've got enterprise as well. So this is like a radius authentication. So you can see we've got R50 in our lab as our radius server. So corporate, for example. Yeah, so when you connect the AP, you get to the HCP address, you have two options with the users when they connect on the SSID. You can bridge them, which means that they're dropped straight onto the wire, so they get an IP address from the DHCP server on the wire, or you can NAT them where they're NATed on the IP address of the AP, and you give them your own network. Some customers, smaller environments which don't use VLAN, they tend to use bridge for corporate and then NAT their guests so they can only get out to the internet, for example. So that's the SSID itself. The security, so the UTM part, the FortiAPS, as I said earlier, can apply these 5 different options. First 3, which is antivirus intrusion prevention and block botnets, just tick boxes. But with web access and application control, it gives you much more granularity. So, for example, these are American figures, but I have spoken to the junior product manager, and he's bringing in UK ratings. But just for our example, you've got PG13 and G. As you click through them, you see below these change slightly. So adult, for instance, it's completely allowed but security. If you don't want to use these, you can go for a custom configuration, like so. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with the integrated, but pretty much all of the categories are on here as well. So you've got just as much control as if you were using the FortiGate for URL filtering in the sense of categorization. You can choose to allow, block, or monitor. If there's an unrated URL, if there's a URL that you want to allow, permit, or deny, then you can use a wildcard and you can block, allow, or monitor. That's web filtering. I'll take that on for a minute. And then application control. So there's a list of application categories here. So as before with the URL, you can allow, monitor, block, or even reset, to be fair. And you do that just by clicking on it, changes them. If you want a little bit more control, so if you want, I don't know, proxy, for example, let's say if you wanted to block proxy, but because you were using a particular proxy, then you've still got the list of application controls here as well. So you've got everything. I don't know, let's pick on Facebook again. So you've got all the Facebook applications. So obviously it depends on how the packet's crafted, whether it's an application or a web browser, but you could block users from uploading files, and uploading and downloading files, but allow them to do everything else on Facebook. So they've cut down their application. Okay, WhatsApp as well. Cool. So yeah, so that's the UTM element of the SAP, and then availability. So once again, you can apply this to a tag. So you can create different availability for different APs. You've got custom, where, as you can guess, you can customize it always, and there's some nice predefined ones where you say weekdays between 8 AM and 6 PM. And you can choose what radio you want us to advertise the SSID on. So A customer previously, all of their devices, their corporate devices, was 5 gigahertz. They wanted a guest SSID as well. They didn't really care too much how guests connected, so they only used the 2.4 for the guests. So they had all their corporate users on 5, they had all their guest users on 2.4. Kept it nice and clean and gave them the best possible bandwidth over their guests. So different radios gives you flexibility. And that's really the configuration of the SSID. Hit apply, that will go down to the AP. I think the poll is about 30 seconds before it gets the SSID advertised. Just to finish up on the demo is reports of the PCI compliancy as well. Fortinet do like the PCI compliant. So if we just tick all these boxes, you can get a nice report. And you can see that we failed on 3 violations, and you can then save the report and view the report. So just briefly, I'll show you. We failed because this AP isn't on the latest firmware. There's a newer build. Rogue detection is not enabled. So I don't want to get this incorrect, but from my understanding of this AP, rogue detection is only enabled when you turn it into dedicated mode. There's no rogue profile here. So I believe it's going to change in the future. This is very similar to the gate as well. A lot of the APs don't support rogue detection and client at the same time and need a dedicated monitor. And that's the case with the APs at the moment on FortiCloud, but I believe that's due to change. And then the last report is a summary report of what's been going on in your network. You can schedule this to go out daily, weekly, monthly, send a report about, I think it's 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. the reports are sent out. And yeah, this is the information that's housed in the report. So yeah, that's my demo of FortiCloud. It's a pretty simple beast to use. Once the AP connects and you've got the 40 key entered, it will just show straight up on the environment, and you can push you don't even need to mess about with tags and folders and stuff like that. You can just have an AP here, click SSID, create an SSID, and it will push the SSID to all the APs that are in that list. It really is the simplest form that I know of, and I've worked with a couple of wireless vendors, but it is the simplest form of configuring wireless that I'm aware of. Obviously, if you guys are interested in demos, then please do get in touch. If you need a hand setting up FortiCloud, if you've got FortiAP already, the FortiCloud account is free. So if you have a FortiAP, there's no reason why you just can't connect that AP to it. If you want to loan a FortiAPS, then please get in touch with your account manager. And if you'd like a hand set up, or if you'd like to go through the interface again, once again, just let your account manager know, and we'll sort something out. But that's kind of it from me. Is there any questions that I can help anyone with? No? Cool. Okay, cool. Well,
okay, guys.
Thank you.
Sorry, Zach. After you.
Sorry, mate. No. Sorry, go on, mate.
Okay, guys. If nobody's got any questions, then I'd just like to thank you all for joining the webinar this morning, and we look forward to seeing you all on the next Forti Friday. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.